Welcome back to the deep dive. The last couple of years, we spent a lot of time on the amazing potential of generative AI.
Yeah.
But today we're diving into its shadow.
That's right. We're looking at the darker side, the sheer scale of synthetic content that's just flooding the internet right now. It's kind of overwhelming.
It really is. We're talking text, images, audio, video, you name it. All either created from scratch or, heavily manipulated by these Gen AI tools. Things like GPT models or image generators like DLE.
And the speed?
Yeah.
It's been exponential, especially since ChatGPT really took off in late 2022. It feels like the floodgates just opened.
Exactly. And the scale is why you really need to tune in today. Get this number. Our analysis suggests that up to 90% of all digital content could be AI influenced by 2026.
70%.
90%. I mean, just let that sink in. That means in just a couple of years, the genuine human voice, human creation, it could become a minority online.
And that staggering figure really sets the stage for our mission today. Look, making AI tools widely available, the democratization, it has benefits, no doubt.
Sure.
But it's also massively amplified risks, serious risks. We're focusing on three core areas today that are, frankly, threatening our basic trust in what we see and read online.
Okay, let's unpack this triumvirate of threat, as you called it. Starting with the basics. Synthetic media. What is it, and how is it different from, say, deepfakes?
Good question. So synthetic content is the really broad term. Anything largely generated or manipulated by AI algorithms.
Okay.
Deepfakes are a particularly nasty subset of that. They specifically involve using someone's likeness, their face, their voice without their consent, often maliciously.
And the check behind them is pretty sophisticated, right?
Exactly. Generative adversarial networks, that's what creates the scary realism. You basically have two AIs fighting each other. Well, competing. One AI generates the fake image or video, and the other AI tries to spot it as a fake. They learn from each other, getting better and better, until the fake is almost impossible for even humans to distinguish from the real thing.
And that realism, that leads straight into the first big danger. Misinformation and disinformation running rampant.
It's baked into the technology itself, in a way. First, you have the AI models just making things up sometimes, these hallucinations where they state falsehoods with complete confidence.
Right, we've seen that.
Then you combine that with the deepfake capability. Suddenly, you can create incredibly convincing videos or audio clips. Think politicians saying inflammatory things they never actually said.
The implications there are just huge. It eats away at experts call it epistemological trust, our basic ability to know what's real.
Precisely. If you can't trust your own eyes and ears online, how do you function? It fuels election interference, obviously, but also this broader public cynicism, this kind of reality apathy, people just checking out.
And that connects to something you mentioned earlier, the liar's dividend. That sounds insidious.
Oh, it is. It's a really critical concept. It's not just about creating fakes.
So wait, the criminals or whoever, they're actually using our skepticism against us.
That's exactly it. The liar's dividend is this phenomenon where the mere possibility that something could be a deepfake allows bad actors to deny genuine evidence.
So like a real video leaks showing corruption.
And they can just say, oh, that could easily be a deepfake. You can't trust anything anymore. It gives them plausible deniability, even when the evidence is real. It poisons the well for legitimate information.
Wow. That's a psychological weapon, not just a technical one. Okay, so that's the trust crisis. But there's also major economic damage happening. Let's talk about the second threat, copyright erosion.
Yeah, this one hits creators right where it hurts their livelihood. The core mechanism is how these big AI models are trained.
Right.
They scrape truly unimaginable amounts of data from the internet. Petabytes, text, images, music, code, including tons of copyrighted material. And crucially, usually without asking permission or paying anyone.
Hold on, though. Isn't that sort of how search engines like Google work? They crawl and index the web, too. Is this different?
It is fundamentally different in its use. Search engines index content to point you towards the original source. These AI models inject the content to learn patterns and then generate new content that often directly competes with or is derived from that original source material.
Ah, okay. So it's not just indexing, it's consuming and replacing.
In many ways, yes. It's a direct challenge to intellectual property rights. And that's why we're seeing major lawsuits, like the ones against Stability AI and others. Artists and writers are essentially saying, you trained your AI on our work without permission to create tools that now replace us.
Which flows perfectly into the third risk area, creator displacement. If AI can pump out passable content cheaply, what happens to human creators?
They get squeezed badly. AI can generate enormous volumes of stuff. Think marketing copy, basic articles, stock photos, background music, way faster and cheaper than a person can.
And the market just gets flooded with, what's the term people are using? AI slop.
Exactly. AI slop, low quality, often repetitive, mass-produced content. And we're seeing the impact in the data now.
You mentioned a specific data point on that.
Yes, consumer enthusiasm for AI-generated content from creators. It took a nosedive. It was around 60% positive back in 2023 when the novelty was high. By 2025, down to just 26%.
Wow, quite a drop. Why?
The perception is that it's inauthentic, low effort, and frankly, often just not very good. But because there's so much of it, it can still drown out human creators and depress market rates for genuine creative work. It causes real economic instability for writers, artists, musicians.
Okay, so we've outlined these three big risks.
Mhm.
Misinformation, copyright issues, creator displacement. Now let's make it concrete. You've got some real-world incidents that show the tangible harm. These are pretty alarming.
They really are. And they serve as a serious wake-up call. Let's start with the financial one that really shook the corporate world. The $25.6 million deepfake scam.
Right, this is the Erupt case in Hong Kong.
Yep, February 2024. A finance employee at Erupt, a big global engineering firm, got tricked into transferring HK $200 million. That's about 25.6 million US dollars.
And how did the deepfake play into it? This wasn't just a phone call, was it?
No, far more sophisticated. It was a video conference call. The scammers used AI deepfakes to impersonate the company's chief financial officer and several other senior executives.
Wait, multiple executives
Yeah.
on the same call?
Yes. They didn't just mimic voices, they mimicked facial expressions, mannerisms, the whole package. It was like a coordinated digital impersonation.
So the employees saw what looked like their bosses all agreeing on this urgent secret transfer.
Exactly. The employee was initially suspicious, apparently, but seeing multiple familiar faces, senior people, seemingly endorsing the transaction on video, that's what convinced them it was legitimate.
And Erupt's leadership called it a wake-up call.
Their CIO did, yes, emphasizing the absolute need for stricter verification protocols, like secondary checks, maybe voice calls or in-person confirmation for large transfers. You can't just rely on a video call anymore.
And the money?
Recovered?
No. As of mid-2025, reports indicated none of it had been recovered, just vanished. A huge, costly lesson.
Oof. Okay, that's the financial threat. What about the political sphere? Case study 2, electoral misinformation in 2024.
Yeah, 2024 was really a watershed year for AI's impact on elections globally. We saw it in India, the US, Slovakia, many places.
What happened in India, for example?
During their general elections, which ran April to June 2024, researchers tracked over 100 distinct deepfake videos circulating. They targeted Prime Minister Modi, opposition leaders, creating fake endorsements or inflammatory statements.
And could they take them down quickly?
That's the problem. Even with a dedicated deepfakes analysis unit, reports show that 70% of that malicious content stayed online for more than 24 hours. The volume just overwhelmed the response systems.
And we saw something similar in the US, right? The New Hampshire incident. That's right, early 2024. An AI-generated robocall mimicking President Biden's voice went out, telling Democrats not to vote in the primary. A clear attempt at voter suppression using this tech.
It's not just about fake videos then, it's about disrupting the process itself.
Exactly. And it ties into the platform issue, too. One report found Meta, for example, made millions from over 100,000 deceptive political ads during that period. Some used deepfakes, some posed as government agencies. The platforms are struggling to police this effectively and sometimes profiting from it.
Which brings us to the third case study, and this one is maybe the most disturbing on a personal level. Privacy and cyberbullying, particularly involving kids.
It's incredibly troubling. We've seen a surge in AI tools being used to create non-consensual explicit imagery, fake nudes, basically, and minors are frequent targets.
You mentioned an incident in Spain.
Yes, Almendralejo, September 2023. Teenage boys reportedly used easily accessible AI apps to strip images of female classmates, over 20 girls aged just 11 to 17. They generated nude deepfakes from normal photos.
And then shared them.
Shared them widely via messaging apps. Caused immense harm, harassment, trauma.
And how do these apps even work? Where do they get the photos?
They often just scrape social media profiles, without consent, obviously. And the truly horrifying part is that some analyses suggest the AI models powering these apps might have been trained, inadvertently or not, on actual child sexual abuse material, CSAM.
Oh, God. So it's not just creating fake abuse, it's potentially amplifying real exploitation baked into the AI's training.
That's the terrifying possibility. It compounds the psychological harm exponentially. And it's widespread. A 2025 RAND survey found deepfake cyberbullying evidence in about 15% of U.S. K-12 schools.
Are laws catching up at all?
Slowly. Some places like California have updated cyberbullying laws to specifically include AI-generated fakes. But enforcement is lagging way behind the tech spread. It points to massive failures in online safety and data privacy.
Okay, so we see the scale of the harm: financial, political, deeply personal. But who's supposed to be stopping this? This brings us to the accountability gap you mentioned.
Right. The core issue is systemic. You've got platforms with moderation frameworks that are often weak or inconsistent. Their safety teams are frequently under-resourced, facing a tsunami of this stuff.
And the AI itself is complex.
Very. The AI supply chain is opaque. A model might be developed by one company, licensed to another, incorporated into an app by a third. Figuring out who is legally liable when harm occurs, it's incredibly difficult. Responsibility gets diffused.
But we did see one major platform take a big step recently regarding that AI slop.
No.
YouTube, right?
Yes, mid-2025, they were facing a serious problem. A massive influx of low-quality, repetitive synthetic videos was starting to displace genuine creators and, crucially for YouTube, annoy viewers.
So it hit their bottom line.
It seems so. Reports suggested organic creator views were dropping, maybe by up to 20% in some areas because of the sludge. So in July 2025, they announced a crackdown.
What did they do?
They updated their partner program rules to demonetize content deemed programmatic or inauthentic, basically, the AI slop. And they started requiring creators to disclose when their videos used synthetic or altered content, especially for realistic portrayals.
That's a significant move. But platform rules are only one part, right?
Right.
What about the law? Is it keeping up?
It's trying, but the technology moves so much faster. We are seeing legislative action, though. The EU AI Act is a major one. It takes a risk-based approach and mandates transparency for AI systems, especially those interacting with humans or generating content.
Okay. What about elsewhere?
India updated its IT rules in 2025, requiring platforms to label AI-generated content clearly and act quickly to remove deepfakes when flagged. In the U.S., the Copyright Office has taken a fairly firm stance so far.
Which is?
Generally, they're denying copyright protection to works generated purely by AI, arguing they lack the necessary human authorship. That's a key point for the copyright erosion issue.
Right. If AI can't hold the copyright, it disincentivizes replacing human creators entirely, maybe.
That seems to be part of the thinking, yes. But enforcement and legal interpretation are still evolving rapidly.
So, if the fakes are getting perfect and the law is playing catch-up, how do we actually build back trust? What are the practical solutions?
It has to be a multi-layered approach. There's no single silver bullet, but two concepts are absolutely crucial: provenance and transparency.
Provenance, meaning where the content came from.
Exactly. We need technical fixes. Platforms should mandate things like digital watermarking, basically, invisible tags embedded by the AI model itself saying, "I made this," and critically, content credentials.
Content credentials, like the C2PA standard we hear about. What is that practically?
Think of C2PA, the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, as creating a sort of secure digital passport for media. When a photo is taken or a video recorded, information about its origin, who created it, and any edits made later gets cryptographically sealed and attached to the file.
So you can track its history and see if it's been manipulated.
Precisely. It creates a verifiable chain of custody. If a piece of media lacks these credentials, or the credentials show suspicious edits, you treat it with much higher skepticism. It won't stop all fakes, but it provides a baseline of integrity.
Okay, so technical solutions are part of it. What about the human element?
That's the other essential layer: societal resilience. We desperately need better, more widespread digital literacy education, from schools to community programs.
Teaching people how to spot fakes.
Yes, but also how algorithms work, how information spreads online, how emotional manipulation happens. We need a more discerning public that understands the environment they're navigating. These things have to work together: tech solutions, platform accountability, strong regulations, and an educated citizenry. Isolated efforts just aren't cutting it.
It really feels like we're facing this huge paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gen AI gives us these incredible tools for creativity, efficiency, solving big problems.
Absolutely unprecedented potential.
But at the same time, it enables fraud, disinformation, and the exploitation of human creativity on a scale we've never seen before.
And the fundamental problem, as we said, is the speed mismatch. The tech evolves weekly, it feels like. Our social norms, our ethics, our laws, they update over years, decades sometimes. We're constantly reacting, always on the defensive.
So it leaves us with a really profound question, I think, for you, the listener, to consider. Given how hard it is right now to reliably detect the most sophisticated deepfakes and enforce things like labeling, how do we ever fully restore public faith in digital evidence, in what we see and hear online?
Or is that even possible? Do we need to fundamentally accept that the era of easily trusting video or audio evidence, that sort of baseline visual and auditory trust, is that just over permanently?
That's the unsettling thought to leave you with, especially as we head towards that world where 90% of what's online might have AI's fingerprints all over it.